I would love to explain to you what all it took to get to this point, but we have to save something for the radio show. So with that, I will say good morning. Welcome. This is Up North News Radio for a Thursday, February 8th, 2024. And we will get this little shindig. Ooh, that's for a bell there, Greg, right there. We will get this shindig started at 6:06 in the morning across the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll tell you why I'm in Madison while Mr. Bach there is in Waukesha, and the immense barrier that was almost too much to overcome to get here to this place in Madison.
What a tale it is!
No, not really. But, it'll fill some time during the show, and that's what we're all here for. We're here about the content. Coming up today, we will talk to Joe Zepecki. We'll talk about the new Marquette poll that came out yesterday. We will talk to Brittany Merlot, of course, and get our forecast. And in our second hour, Kristen Lyerly, Alicia Saunders, and Kelly Peterson, 3 women, all considering a run for Congress in the 8th District, all 3 of them holding a public forum last week to talk about that and to encourage people to get involved, get excited, not just about that race, but legislative races and things like that. We will talk to Luke Mathers right here in his office in Madison. We'll even show you the contents of his desk for those of you watching on social media. I'm serious. I don't know if I should show this banana over here or not, but
there's
anyway.
So many half-eaten Twix bars.
Oh, it's sad. It's just sad. Anyway, that's all coming up at 6:06 here, live from Madison, right after news.
Helicopter crashed in the mountains near San Diego during stormy weather. Fire Captain Mike Cornett.
They had to go on foot to search the area of the coordinates of the last known location of that helicopter. We weren't able to find anything.
A volcano in Iceland is erupting for the 3rd time since December. It's spewing jets of lava into the sky and forcing the evacuation of one of the nation's biggest tourist attractions, the Blue Lagoon Spa. No immediate threats reported to the fishing town of Grindavik. Britain's Prince William is stepping up to the plate after King Charles' cancer diagnosis and his wife's abdominal surgery.
Thank you also for the kind messages of support for Catherine and for my father, especially in recent days. It means a great deal to us all.
William spoke at a charity gala where he also posed for a photo with Tom Cruise. S&P futures down 4. This is CBS News.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech, like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors. Amazing prices await at Dell.com/D.
For Civic Media News, I'm Nate Wiggyhout. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. The universities of Wisconsin have a new website listing all online courses across the system's 13 campuses. The website lists more than 200 online programs and links to the campuses that offer the classes. The UW system is facing an $18 million deficit by this summer after years of declining enrollment and lower state aid. 4 two-year branch campuses are closing. President Biden and Donald Trump are dead even in the latest Marquette Law School poll. Trump's up slightly when you add in third-party candidates who took a sizable chunk of the votes.
I think it reflects the broad dissatisfaction with both Trump and Biden as the matchup. And so people unhappy with that are expressing it by saying at this point they'd vote third party.
Pollster Charles Franklin spoke with the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wednesday. I'm Nate Wiggyhout, Civic Media News.
The Badgers lose again. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball, the Wisconsin Badgers losing to Michigan, 72-68. Wisconsin has now lost 3 in a row. That's their longest losing streak of the season. The Badgers struggled with 3-point shots, played poorly on defense. They're ranked 11th in the nation and losing in Ann Arbor to a Michigan team that came into the game with a 5-game losing streak and a record of just 8 wins and 15 losses. The Badgers, now 16-7, play Rutgers this Saturday. Baseball, the Brewers adding some players Mariners. They've signed right-hander Jacob Junis to a one-year deal, and they've also added catcher Gary Sanchez from the Padres to a one-year contract worth $7 million. And now former Brewer Colin Burns saying so long to fans in Milwaukee after being traded to Baltimore.
Obviously thank the fans, thank the organization. That's the only organization I've been a part of up to this point. Had a lot of winning seasons, a lot of good baseball over there. Felt honored to be a part of the best stretch of baseball in Brewers history.
That's the Orioles' Colin Burns. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Cloudy and mild with scattered light rain possible today. We'll get to around 53 for a high this afternoon. The wind out of the south at 15 to 25, gusting to near 30. Tonight, scattered light rain, otherwise partly cloudy, 41. Tomorrow, sunny, 50. Saturday, sunny and cooler, high near 38. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 39.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Keeping Southeast Wisconsin informed, engaged, and entertained.
All across Wisconsin from Civic Media, this is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Wissota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Brightlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is Thursday morning, February 8th, 2024. This is Up North News Radio. I'm Pat Brightlow, and I got a question for you. Did you know Wisconsin is a 50-50 state politically? I mean, as literally almost as it gets. There's a new Marquette poll out showing that by one measure, President Biden and former President Trump are tied 49-49. So almost a 50-50 state, except for the 2% of you that still can't choose between one of those two fellas if you had to. You don't have to, but you can tell us who you would support. You can tell us your input on the poll. All kinds of other information today at 844-967-2789. Again, 844-967-2789. We'd be happy to have you here. And here for me today is in Madison at the Global Center of all things civic media, down here for an Up North News function. And so stopped by here to say hi to some of the radio friends in Madison before I get on with the rest of my capital city workday here, which does not include Greg Bach because he's not here in Madison. He's at the Civic Media Compound in Waukesha County.
I'm trapped.
I mentioned to him that I'd packed up all of my gear except for a mic stand. So I'm doing, I've got the old handheld thing going here, and Craig's just like,
stand up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like that. Yes. He's like, yeah, I'll run one over to you, except that he's 70 miles away or something like that. But it's so warm and nice here. I could hear birds singing this morning because the temperatures are getting to be to that point.
It's 41 degrees down here.
It is. It's 41 here in 41 here in Madison as well. Back home in Chippewa Falls, it's 42. Hayward 41. Park Falls 37. Wausau 36. Green Bay 39. La Crosse is at 44. Rapids 39. Oshkosh 39. Just so very unusual. Though that worked in my favor this morning. As somebody who has a key card for the Madison studio, I can get in here anytime I want.
Well, Pat, hold on a second.
Or
I gotta get you the proper background music for your story.
Oh,
there we go.
Grandpa's going to tell a story here. I'm so glad that I did not have to wait outside the Civic Media studio in Madison in below zero weather, as I took my key card and so confidently swiped it across the lock, pulled the knob, but nay, the door would not budge. Again, I tried, and again, pulling the door each time, pulling and pulling, but the doorknob itself would not turn. Was there a secondary lock? Was I not given a key to the doorknob? I could only stand outside in the 40-degree balmy weather, again, thanking the heavens above that it was not 40 below, until Sam Davison arrived to my rescue, swiped his key card, and said, "Oh, you got to know the special wiggle. You got to push the door in first and then pull it."
A special wiggle.
Special wiggle was what stopped me from getting this show set up one moment earlier than absolutely necessary. But I made it. I made it through the barriers without having to answer any riddles by simply finally learning that the Civic Media door has a special wiggle. There we go.
We did it.
We did it. We did this all together somehow or another. Wow. I honestly, I was so flummoxed. Ooh, get the bell ready. I was so flummoxed to pull on that door and pull. I didn't watch Sam go, after standing outside for 20 minutes waiting for him. But anyway, we're here. And for folks watching on the video stream, this very high-tech looking map behind me, I'm not in the studio, of course, because there's a show going on over there as well. So, and I was going to be in the conference room, but I decided Todd Alba has a nice desk, here in the bullpen. We've got Luke Mathers. I'm not even going to show you his desk because of the condition of some fresh produce that is really no longer fresh on there. Terry Bell is over there. Anyway, this handwritten map behind me is a very crude drawing of the signal ranges on a map of Wisconsin of the Civic Media Radio Network. So this is the Civic Media empire behind me. In case
I thought you were in like a geology lab or something.
It does feel like it. I would love to, again, we've got State Street right outside the window here. We don't really have it set up where you can, see the Capitol Dome or the traffic off of a camera like this. But it's a beautiful location up here at the top of State Street, right off Capitol Square. In fact, I even wrote a story for tomorrow that you'll find on our website, UpNorthNewsWI.com, because tomorrow is National Pizza Day. And so Christina was working on a newsletter and saying, well, can you come up with a political angle to Pizza Day? And of course, challenge accepted. I can find a political angle to anything. And of course, you got to go with Ian's and the role that Ian's played during the Act 10 protests back in 2011.
Okay. Never mind. Sorry. Nothing against Ian's. I love Ian's, but I was like, huh.
You have to go back a ways. But there were people from all over the world, when they heard about this, were phoning orders into Ian's, basically saying, take my money and feed the protesters. And some people will talk to people. Ian's is still their favorite pizza simply as a result of the role that they played during that. But then we get into where Governor Evers, like to hang out for his pizza joint, some of the show regulars. Although not you, I forgot to ask about you. We'll save that for tomorrow. Greg Bach's favorite pizza tomorrow.
I'll just say this real quick. I was protesting in Madison for against Act 10, and I didn't get a slice of anything.
Oh, you were over on the other side of the building. You should have been just a little bit closer. All right. Well, so coming up on the show today, we will talk to Joe Zepecki. We won't talk to him about his favorite pizza, but you can read about it tomorrow. And again, there is that new Marquette poll out, and we don't spend a lot of time on it because, again, frankly, it's a snapshot of one day of one slice of the electorate. It does tell you, the ways in which Wisconsin is still equally divided in some ways and not so equally divided in others. The things that people still are in favor of that a Republican-led legislature just won't seem to pass. So we'll get into that a little bit. Kristen Lyerly will be with us, as she often is on Thursdays, for her Women Win Wisconsin segment, talking about women who are leaders in their community who may be considering a run for office. Well, she fits in her own category today, along with two other women, Alicia Saunders and Kelly Peterson. All three of them have said that they are thinking about running for Congress in the 8th District. And so they actually got together and held a public forum of sorts last week in Green Bay. So they're going to talk about that, not just the race for Congress, but also, just women getting involved overall, running for office or supporting the people who are making that decision to run for office. So that, again, is coming up at 7:30. Kristen will join us at about 6:50 for today's history segment. In our newsletter this morning from Up North News, a few different stories to tell you about. Christina has a story in there about some of the unique sledding hills of Wisconsin. Can't use them right now, but we're not done with winter yet. So if/when the snow comes, some of the more unique downhill thrills that you can find in Wisconsin if you're going to go sledding. Sunday is National Inventors Day. She has an article on 5 things you didn't know were created right here in Wisconsin. And then there's my story on a tale of 2 presidents. They're both old. They're both white. The similarities end there. The choice in 2024 could not be more different. Although, again, as we see in the Marquette poll, there are some folks that still can't seem to tell the two apart, can't seem to understand the very, very real differences between them. So we will continue talking about things like that here on Up North News Radio and all across the Civic Media Radio Network. At 6:15, let's just take a quick look at sports, just enough to tell you that the 11th ranked Badger men's basketball team did not look good yesterday in Michigan. They lost last night on the road, 72-68. I put the game on when I got to my hotel here in Madison and just watched as they struggled for the second game in a row to make any 3-pointers. They were 5 of 19 from beyond the arc after going 3 of 19 in their loss to second-ranked Purdue on Sunday. So it is the first 3-game losing streak of the season for the Wisconsin Badgers, who are right now trying to figure out how to get their groove back on shooting those 3-pointers. Civic Media is your home for the Super Bowl because you can hear the game on WRCO, radio from the center in Richland Center, 100.9 FM. You can tune in for the big game, Super Bowl 58, between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Coverage will begin at 1 o'clock. Kickoff is at 5:30. Again, that's on radio from the center, WRCO in Richland Center, here on the Civic Media Radio Network. And of course, all across the Civic Media Network, you've got no shortage of local high school sports that will be playing. The Milwaukee Bucks host the Minnesota Timberwolves. You can catch that game on locally grown radio in Wisconsin Rapids, Oshkosh Air Support, News from the Center in Richland Center, Lake Air in Amory, WRJN in Racine, and 98Q Country in Park Falls. Some of the things we'll be talking about today as we unpack the news include the Marquette poll, but also in the news today, there is talk that Republicans in the state legislature are so essentially fearful of maps that could come out from the Wisconsin Supreme Court that they're making noises that they may capitulate and adopt the most recent maps that had been submitted by Governor Tony Evers that they then modified a bit, thinking that at least if they send that to Governor Evers and try to persuade him to sign it, it would still be a better map than any of the ones the Wisconsin Supreme Court is considering. Governor Evers says he's going to wait and see what they actually do and see what's put in front of him. But again, it's just an ongoing recognition by Republicans that after 12 years of rigged maps, that they are so far out of step with mainstream Wisconsin values that they need to save face as much as possible before being forced to compete in more competitive districts. So that's one more of the stories that we're following. We'll talk more about the Marquette poll, however, in just a sec, right after reminding you that wherever you're listening across Wisconsin on this Thursday morning, even if you're right here in Madison, when you're here, you're up north, live on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Is the Shaw, WAUK.
This is Chuck Smith, founder of Current Electric. I want to thank you, Southeast Wisconsin, for making us #1 electrical service company in our area. From residential and commercial to all things solar. Do you know the #1 reason people call Current Electric? It is trust. We answer the call. They trust our heroes in their home and businesses. With 8,500 5-star reviews and growing, I'm so very proud of our team of heroes. Go to callcurrent.com. That's callcurrent.com. Home of the superheroes.
labor shortages, retention problems. It's been a challenging time for my business. But in Wisconsin, there's 600,000 people with disabilities who are ready to work right now. They just need you to believe in them and say yes. I did.
And once you say yes, Thinkability Wisconsin will be there, providing transition and workforce support for people with disabilities and their employers to help shape a better future for all. It all starts when you say yes. Join the movement at thinkabilitywi.org.
You're listening to the show.
This is John Williams, and I'm sure you're wondering, what movie is this from? And it's not. If you're familiar with any of the NBC news themes, the Today Show, Nightly News, they all kind of they've come from a similar vein. They come from this, I believe it's an 11-minute piece of music that they asked John Williams to put together back in 1985, and are still using it to this date. Now you can kind of hear in the background, this is for like Meet the Press or something like that. In fact, if there's another clip, if you have it there, that's more of like,
yeah, hold on, write it down.
You know you're listening to like Nightly News or something when you hear the strings and everything come in. Why are we saying all this? John Williams is 92 years old today.
There it is. I like the other one because it sounds like the stormtroopers are about to take the press.
Well, and this is the guy who did just that. He gave us the Imperial March, the stormtroopers, the Indiana Jones, and Jaws, and so many other themes. We may play one or two more of those before we wrap up today. More in today's history lesson coming up in just about a half hour. Except, I got to tell you what, I'm getting dirty looks over here in the Madison studio.
From who?
Well, again, I was gonna use the conference room, but the way the thing is set up, it's so far from the outlets for my laptop here. And I thought, again, Todd Alba, he's got a clean desk, and Luke's not in. And I see Terry Bell's just kind of giving me the stink eye here because Terry Bell, his desk is in here. So he's like, am I going to have to be quiet now while I get some work done? Yes, Terry, you will. Sorry.
Welcome to Pat Starts to Unravel.
Welcome. No, it's like, welcome to Pat's taking over other people's offices.
Yeah.
And that's just how. So if you hear that I'm being roughed up and kicked out, it's not a bouncer. It's Terry saying that he wants to use his office again. So again, apologies ahead of time if that's what you hear. All right. The Marquette poll that was done yesterday by the Marquette University Law School was conducted. Now, this part is interesting. This poll was conducted January 24th through the 31st. Why is that interesting? It took 7 days to do this poll in order to get 930 registered voters with a margin of error of plus or minus 4%. Once upon a time, when you had the Gallup poll and the Harris poll and some of the other polls that were out there, these things were done in an evening. They do it like right after, say, the State of the Union speech, and be able to get a quick snapshot to get a representative sample of public opinion. With caller ID and cell phones, if you talk to pollsters, they'll tell you it does now take 7 days to get enough people to answer their phones who, again, would create a representative cross sample of the population. So they've got those 930 people in. And as we go through the results, now, as I mentioned before, Terry was looking at me funny. He's now walked into the office. Terry, I'm sorry, I did not know you actually started work this early. He's looking at me like, what? Look at this. He's being
Terry. You mind your business. Mind your business, Terry.
He's being way too gracious. Again, if you see an arm come in and grab me by the scruff of the neck, it's Terry. But he says it's all good. So back to our poll here. So this was the first stat that stuck out at me among registered voters. Again, there's a difference between registered voters and likely voters. But again, among registered voters, Joe Biden, 49%, Donald Trump, 49%. And even if you bring it down to just those people who said they are likely voters, it's still 50 for Trump, 49 for Biden. Again, well within the margin of error. It's a 50-50 setup no matter what. Now, both Biden and Trump are supported by big majorities of Wisconsin voters within their own parties, 90% of Republicans for Trump, 91% of Democrats for Biden. So you have to ask yourself, among the independents, how does that break down? Right now, independent voters in Wisconsin break for Joe Biden 49 to 42 for Trump. Now, the poll goes on to ask all kinds of questions about job approval, favorability, enthusiasm. I skip right past those. Again, they're just esoteric. They're just kind of, window dressing about how you feel about somebody today. What counts is how do they say they're going to vote, and do they say they're going to vote, by the way, right now. Here's the only one I'll note about job performance, that right now, President Biden's job performance is 41% approve, 58% disapprove. But even among those people who say they somewhat disapprove of Biden's job performance, if you say, okay, you somewhat disapprove of Biden's job performance, but how are you going to vote? It breaks for Biden 50 to 44. Then they ask, which candidate do you think would do a better job on specific issues? On immigration and border security, 54% say Trump would do better compared to just 28% for Biden, which is stunning when you consider the events of the past week, where former President Trump has yet again, for Republicans, killed a border and immigration bill. And so once again, nothing will get done. As was said, by the way, we've talked frequently about 2013, when Republicans in the House killed a Senate bill that got 68 votes, but it had actually happened previously. There was a 2006 deal that had been brokered and passed the Senate, and there were multiple bipartisan attempts during the Trump administration, including in 2018, when again, it passed on it got through bipartisan support in the Senate, and Republicans in the House said, no, we don't. It's like they don't want anything to happen. But right now, because they talk about it so much, that in this poll, people believe that Trump would do a better job on the border, even though he did nothing when he was president. He talked about it a lot, built a couple of miles of a wall, and otherwise next to nothing else. On the economy, again, Trump gets the nod, 52 to 31, despite one tanking the economy and one rescuing it. Familiar narrative there. Then on healthcare, 40% say Biden would do better compared to 36 for Trump. On Medicare and Social Security, it's 42 for Biden, 37 for Trump that say he'd do better. And on abortion policy, Biden again bests Trump by a margin of 44 to 36. Then there's this question that makes me wonder about everything. The phrase "too old to be president," does it fit Biden? 61% say it fits very well. Too old to be president, does it fit Trump? Only 29% say it fits very well. Half the number of Biden say that Donald Trump, Olympic gold medalist, is not too old to be president. Okay. Trump's actions following the 2020 election, 53% of all respondents believe he did something illegal. 22% say he did something wrong, but not illegal. 22% say he did nothing wrong. They asked about the possible GOP Senate candidates to challenge Tammy Baldwin. All have such low numbers. It's not even worth sharing here. And then the last one I'll leave you with, because it's just downright depressing, and we'll talk to Joe Zepecki too in a minute. Confidence in the accuracy of the counting of votes in the 2020 presidential election. Among Republicans, 40% are very or somewhat confident of the accuracy. 60% of Republicans surveyed are not too confident or not at all confident about the counting of votes in 2020. The lesson there, sadly, is that propaganda works. Joe Zepecki's up next. You're Up North.
The Shaw, WAUK. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
I love Jennifer Beals, and it is my pleasure to welcome to Nightlight a guy who kissed her, Peter Moore.
I wish I could say she was madly in love with me, but we starred in the High School Musical.
You and I kissed during a play once, Pete, and I will say I didn't really feel a connection.
That was also in The Boyfriend, but that was a different version of The Boyfriend.
That was The Boyfriends.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights 8 till 10 on the Shaw. 540 AM and 101.1 FM WAUK.
Commodity prices are low. Farmers scrutinize every dollar coming off of their check, including checkoff dollars. I'm PM Yankee, starting you off before the opening bell on a Thursday morning. Quick look at what's happening in agribusiness news. And farmers like Tony Mellenton, who not only farm himself in the O'Galley area, are also directors on the United Soybean Board, take those checkoff dollar investments very seriously. He said for Wisconsin soybean growers, the good news is they pay big dividends.
We return roughly $12 for every $1 invested. And then one further, I'm on a committee called World Initiative for Soy and Human Health. It's a market creation program for U.S. soy. Go finding markets that do not currently have U.S. soy and creating that market. And it uses checkoff funding, but they do a wonderful job of leveraging that checkoff funding into more international trade promotion funding from the U.S. government, the USDA. And the last figure is it's for every one checkoff dollar invested, we get $20 from the USDA to invest in international development.
Tony Mellenton, he is a soybean grower himself from O'Galley up in northwest Wisconsin. He's also a director on the United Soybean Board. He says that they're introducing specialized soybean varieties now, like identity preserved and high oleic soybeans, as expanded market opportunities and diversified product offerings for farmers in 2024. Markets and overnight electronic trade this Thursday morning still suffering under the weather. We'll get you numbers next.
Leadership Institute is a year-long premier crash course in personal development, agricultural advocacy, and Wisconsin Farm Bureau that builds up strong Farm Bureau members. I'm proud to be a Wisconsin Farm Bureau member because they invested time and resources in me and my development, and I cannot wait to give a return on that investment.
WFBF.com. A voice for farmers, a vision for agriculture, Wisconsin Farm Bureau. Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
No change on barrel or block cheese or AA butter yesterday. The March corn's down a penny. December new crop down a penny at $4.72. March beans are up 1. November new crop down 1 at $11.70. July wheat's down 7 at $6.03 a bushel. March milk right now is currently up a nickel, $17.38 a hundredweight. There's just a quick market snapshot on a Thursday. I'm PM Yankee.
The Shaw, WAUK. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Cloudy and mild with scattered light rain possible today. We'll get to around 53 for a high this afternoon. The wind out of the south at 15 to 25, gusting to near 30. Tonight, scattered light rain, otherwise partly cloudy, 41. Tomorrow, sunny, 50. Saturday, sunny and cooler, high near 38. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 39.
Covering all the news that affects you with humor and a unique perspective. Matinaire on Air with Jane Matinaire. Weekdays 10 till noon on the Shaw, 101.1 FM and 540 AM WAUK, and on the Civic Media app.
You are listening to your local Civic Media radio station on air. Thank you. Did you know we are always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app too? And if you miss a show or game, find it wherever you get your podcasts or on our website, civicmedia.us.
Your home of the Earl Ingram Show. Weekday mornings from 8 till 10 on the Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM WAUK.
Welcome back. Time for Joe Zepecki. It must be Thursday morning, and we're now getting to that point where when we talk about what we think is happening in Wisconsin, we have something else to guide us, and that would be the Marquette University Law School poll, which, again, I caution all the time, is just a snapshot. But it is a snapshot, so we'll play with it. Joe, how are you?
I'm okay, man. What a year this week has been is kind of how I'm feeling.
That's exactly what this is. It's been quite a week, and now you have the Badgers looking ugly in Michigan, and just everything is coming together to wrap up the week here. But we will carry on, and we'll get to the Bucks as well in just a minute or two here. But let's start. I talked a bit about the poll off the top of the show here, so let's again state the obvious. Wisconsin is a swing state, especially when you see on one of the questions, it's basically 49-49. Welcome to Wisconsin.
Yeah. So a couple things jumped out in this poll to me. One of them is that the gap between the economy and the way people are perceiving the economy is starting to close. People are beginning to understand that the sky is not falling. The promised recession didn't come. Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress, who did things like the CHIPS and Science Act and the Infrastructure Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, warded off the worst economic projections. And people are starting to feel that. We're seeing that in part in the right track, wrong direction, which is getting a little bit better. We're seeing it in part in pretty good numbers for Tony Evers. There is still something going on with Joe Biden, though, because while Biden and Trump are tied 49-49 in the poll, and it's 50-49 in the likely voter screen, when you ask the other head-to-head that there are people out there who want you to believe is still possible, and that's Nikki Haley versus Joe Biden, there is a huge swing. I mean, stunning. Right now, tomorrow, if there was an election, Nikki Haley would beat Joe Biden by 15 points. And that represents a 30-point swing among independents in terms of the matchup between Donald Trump and Joe Biden and Nikki Haley and Joe Biden.
Yeah. But, it's not November. And if the election were today, then the numbers we're talking about right now would be the numbers from 9 months ago, which, again, I'm not trying to be rose-colored glasses on Dark Brandon over here, but this is the stage of the race still where people are saying, is this what we have to look forward to for the next 9 months? Which is a different mindset than, okay, it's November 5th, time for me to go vote between Biden or Trump, because there's still no path for Nikki Haley unless it involves somebody in an orange prison jumpsuit.
Yeah, like leg irons is, and yes. At this point, Nikki Haley is the break glass in case of emergency option. And when you see things like Ronna McDaniel stepping down from the RNC, and
right, the one who would break the glass, she's not going to be there.
Yeah, so this is Trump's party. They're playing out the string, and it's Trump's party because of what happened in Washington, D.C. this week. And this is where I really feel what a year this week has been, which was the absolute cluster debacle in a different medium. There would be some 4-letter words sprinkled in here of what Republicans pulled this week on Capitol Hill.
Mm-hmm.
In December of last year, when Democrats from Joe Biden on down said our allies, the free people of Ukraine who believe in self-determination, who have been invaded, literally invaded, tanks have rolled across borders from Russia on orders of Vladimir Putin. Our allies in freedom are running out of ammunition and they need our help, and we can give it to them. So let's do another round of foreign aid. Republicans said, no. You got to secure the border first. And so over the last 6 weeks, Chris Murphy, Kyrsten Sinema, and James Lankford, 3 senators, a Democrat, an independent, and a Republican, and a very conservative Republican, sat down and hashed out the toughest border security bill in American history. And Republicans said, oh, just kidding. We didn't mean it when we said that. No deal. And why? Because the orange god king Donald Trump from Mar-a-Lago called the code red and said, don't do it.
It was stunning. There was no talk of defeating this bill until he spoke. And I have never seen such lemming-like behavior until this moment. And I honestly don't know how people like Tom Tiffany and Scott Fitzgerald and Derek Van Orden, I really don't know how they talk about this with a straight face.
Right. It's insane. Like the lack of understanding that passing a bill right now, today, in February of 2024, doesn't mean that if all of their dreams come true and Donald Trump is restored to the White House and Republicans control the United States Senate and Republicans control the U.S. House of Representatives by January of 2025, there's nothing stopping them from doing another border bill. But these absolute clowns have been telling us that there is a crisis at the southern border, that this cannot wait, that we have to act now. And as soon as Democrats called their bluff and said, you want border security, we want funding for Ukraine, here it is, we got a deal, they backed away. So which is it? Is it that it's not a crisis at all and they just made it up the whole time? Is it that they care more about Donald Trump's political prospects than they do the safety and security of this country? Or are they so opposed to aiding the free people of Ukraine as they fight for their lives against an invading army? Are they so opposed to that they refuse to lift a finger? Which of those three things is it? Maybe it's more than one at the same time, but it is so dispiriting and disgusting and revolting. And Mitt Romney said he was appalled. And I am beyond appalled, because this is the kind of stuff that our international adversaries see and they go, America's in decline. What do we need to do? They're doing it to themselves. This country used to be able to do big things. Now we can't even do the little things because Republicans refuse to be a serious governing party guided by any principles other than we want to win and we want you to lose. And that is no way to run a railroad.
It was like watching the end of the Soviet Union. You know, the anniversary of that was this week, where they just finally crumbled under their own dysfunction. And we're seeing that with a major party here, the party of Ronald Reagan, on this week of Reagan's birthday, that this party, which stood up against the evil empire, which stood for immigration reform and putting, limits on undocumented immigration, to have these pillars of republicanism blown up this week is absolutely stunning. And I have to laugh that they are still thinking they're on offense about this. They're still talking about, impeaching Mayorkas when they couldn't pull that off yesterday, day before yesterday either. It's just been a landmark week that Republicans in the future will look back on and go, how did we ever recover from this? Assuming they recover from this.
How did they get there? They sold their soul to a carnival barker. I mean, it's just like I didn't know that it was the anniversary of Reagan's passing this week, but the notion of his birthday, right? So for his birthday, they got, they threw a funeral for Reaganism. There is nothing within the Republican Party that resembles the Republican Party of Ronald Reagan anymore. There just isn't. And
tax cuts for the rich and drawing up the deficit.
I wish I could still find some humor in it, but it's no. I don't know how you unwind this. If you're Republicans, they need to lose bigly. The Republican Party is not going to save us, and the Democratic Party can't do it by their own. The American people have to see through this ridiculousness and decide enough is enough. And Republicans have to lose by a lot. I am a guy who believes we need a healthy Republican Party. This ain't it.
It's not. And the thing is, Joe, propaganda works. propaganda works because among Republicans in this Marquette poll, 40% are confident in the accuracy of the 2020 election. 60% of Republicans say they're not too confident or not at all confident in an election that was free and fair and accurate. And so long as this propaganda works on 60% of Republicans, I'm not seeing a Republican feel they're not going to heal. They're not going to heal.
Yeah. So that's what I'm grappling with this week.
Well, that's okay. Look, the one I'm grappling with is does the phrase "too old to be president" fit? 61% say it fits Biden very well. For Trump, only half as many. 29% say it fits very well. Really? That Olympic decathlete, Donald Trump?
Listen, I'm good with feats of strength between the two of them. Joe Biden will run circles around him, literally. And this does speak to the opportunity, which is that even still at this point in the calendar, Donald Trump is not in the living rooms of the American people day in and day out. They have not seen how much he has deteriorated in the last 4 years. Yes. They have not seen that he confuses Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi, and that is very different than stepping over a word when you had a stutter as a child. And so that stuff's going to get better, and it is going to be a choice election. It is going to be Joe Biden versus the alternative, Donald Trump, and not Joe Biden versus the almighty. And, we'll get there, and I'll be more positive next week. But this week, the depths to which the Republican Party have sunk are really leaving me feeling away.
Let's end back on state politics, because this was very interesting that Alexander Schur in the Wisconsin State Journal put up a note that said that Senate Republican leader Devin LeMahieu is now talking about passing the original or the Evers maps rather than as a way to try to circumvent the Wisconsin Supreme Court's new maps. So they're trying to again guess what would be in their mind the lesser of all evils. I'm skeptical, but it does seem to say that Republicans in the legislature are genuinely fearing one of these maps, one of these consulted maps coming out of the state Supreme Court.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, they're running for their lives. And if I was Governor Evers, I would say, let them run for their lives as long as they can. They have not been reasonable, rational actors in this. So to let them bail themselves out at the 11th hour, boy, I would not be racing to do that. There is a process in place. The court is following that process. That's what should happen.
I've left us 60 seconds to get the latest on the Bucks. 1-4 under Doc Rivers, a necessary adjustment or alarm bells?
No, I still feel better long term than I did 6 games ago when they made the switch. Mm-hmm. This is not easy, and the scheduling and the timing was always going to be tough. But at this point, I would rather we be the 2 or 3 seed in the East than the 1 seed with that defense. This team will end up emerging from this better off. I still believe that.
I like the optimism. And then finally, Niners Chiefs. What do you got?
I got the 49ers, and not just because Melissa's a 49ers fan. No, I think the way they fought back in the last 2 games after going down, which is not really a thing that they've done. Mm-hmm. They have not been a team that comes from behind. 1 through 53 on the roster, they have more talent, and they now know how to win ugly. Look out. But I think it's going to be a really good game.
Hope so. Joe Zepecki, thank you so much as always. Have a great day.
Talk to you next week.
Wish I had you here to hold. All I've got is this touch phone. So I guess I'll give you a call.
WAUK, Waukesha's home for Matt and Air on Air.
It's Black History Month, and Civic Media supports the importance of this observance. But what do you really know about it? I'm Calvin Butenhoff, producer of The Earl Ingram Show. Our Echoes of Empowerment Black History Stories will offer thoughtful answers all month long. Now, here's Earl.
You cannot talk about Black history without including some of the early music and art which flourished in the 1920s and 30s, time now called the Harlem Renaissance. But this new Black cultural identity was growing everywhere. Trumpet player Louis Armstrong moved to Chicago. Painter Henry Tanner was accepted into the Academy of Design. Musician Robert Johnson recorded Delta Blues in Texas. Listen for another Black history story right here on Civic Media. I'm Earl Ingram.
This, of course, would be Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers with Why Do Fools Fall in Love? It hit the charts on this day in 1956. Back now on Up North News Radio at 6:51 right now on this Thursday morning. Should be checking in with Kristen Lyerly fairly soon. Greg Bach here as well. On this day in 1958, a group called the Quarrymen performed in Liverpool. Afterwards, one of the band members of the Quarrymen, a guy named Paul McCartney, introduced another member of the band, John Lennon, to his friend George Harrison. And Greg, they weren't the Quarrymen for very much longer.
Who were they?
They later become this little old group known as the Beatles.
The Beatles?
The Beatles, yes, as it were. So, hey, Dr. Lyerly joins us now from Green Bay still. This is the longest stretch you've been home in so long. Do your children even know what to do with you anymore?
They're like, Mom, it's time for you to go. No, it was sad. I just got back from dropping my little guy off at school, and we were like, bye. See you in 2 weeks.
Aw. Well, it was nice. How are you otherwise?
I'm good. Did you know that the Beatles were the Silver Beatles before they were the Beatles?
Yes, they were.
Yep.
Yes,
they were.
yep. And they actually at one point were thinking of calling themselves the Four Everly Brothers because they love the Everly Brothers so much that they were just going to do a play on words there.
I love the Everly Brothers too.
Mm-hmm. Of course you do. You appreciate all of this stuff.
One
thought
of their
about
biggest
that.
hits written by Milwaukee natives, or not natives, but from one of those songwriters from Milwaukee. So
what?
Yeah, Bulow, Bulow, I believe is his last name, but they were a songwriting husband and wife team, and they wrote hundreds of songs responsible for 500 million record sales. And the Everly's first big hit was written by them, and the wife was from here in Milwaukee.
You're kidding. What song was it? Do you know?
Whatever they're big for.
And off Greg goes to the Google machine to tell us a bit more about that.
When Will I Be Loved? That's my guess.
Right. Yeah. All right. In case you missed it before, happy 92nd birthday to the guy who gave us all kinds of movie music, including this little number. This, of course, would be John Williams, who also gave us the theme to Superman and Jaws, Jurassic Park, and so much more. Again, 92 today. And I have to say that YouTube clip that Greg is playing right now with some Philharmonic Symphony, I don't know which one it is, but I mean, we've heard this forever, but to watch an orchestra making this happen, again, it's just, it just gives me chills every time as somebody who doesn't play an instrument and to watch what they do. Greg, why are you mocking me?
I'm not mocking you, Pat, I promise. It's German, but it reads as John Williams and the Wiener Philharmoniker.
Oh, is that what you saw? See, that's why.
Vienna. That's how you say Vienna in German. Like Wiener Schnitzel is Vienna.
So they spelled it wrong on the YouTube clip is all. Okay.
It looks like Wiener, okay? I'm sorry.
That's fifth grade Greg talking.
We
right
are
now.
children suddenly.
It was Bye Bye Love by Felice and Boudreaux Bryant. That was the name.
Okay, there you go.
Mhm.
Happy 63rd birthday to Motley Crue's Vince Neil.
There's something so delightful about Pat Kreitlow cueing Dr. Feelgood by Motley Crue.
If you want some comedy in your life or a little sadness, watch like live isolated videos of Vince Neil singing now. It's awful.
It's not the same. No, it's not. Let's see. Actor James Dean was born this day in 1931, passed away in 1955. Not to be confused with the country music singer Sausage King. And newsman Ted Koppel is 84 years old today.
Love Ted Koppel.
And let's see. Happy, he didn't do the math, 76th birthday to Dan Seals of the group England Dan and John Ford Coley.
Thinking about you.
Please look up this album cover.
Another great 70s album cover.
This is amazing.
When you hear England Dan and John Ford Coley, the England Dan was Dan Seals. He is the younger brother of Jim Seals of Seals and Crofts, which kind of begs the question, why didn't these two Seals brothers just do their own thing? And they later did. They just never charted with any hits here. So Marcus Johnson of the Milwaukee Bucks fame, 68 years old today. Let's see. That's it for birthdays. One more musical note. And it was on this day in 1964 that the lyrics to this song were under investigation by the FBI.
What the heck?
We all know the song.
Here come those obscene lyrics. So yeah, the FBI honestly was investigating this song for obscene lyrics. So on this day in 1964, the song's publisher offered $1,000 to anyone who could definitively distinguish the dirty words in the song, because there weren't any. It was just nonsense.
Wait, the FBI was investigating this song because of dirty words?
Yes.
They were worried about dirty words?
Yes.
That's what was happening in the world back in 1964?
Yes.
It was Mother Glory.
A much different world. This is National Boy Scout Day. This is National Opera Day. This is National Punchki Day, although most people celebrate that, on Fat Tuesday coming up next week. And this is National Molasses Cookies and Molasses Bars Day. I've never had a molasses bar, but my daughter makes the best molasses cookies.
Oh, I'd give her a run for her money.
Ooh, challenge
that's the one thing I
accepted.
really enjoy about you, Dr. Lyerly, is that like 99.8% of the time you are sunshine positivity, and just a little bit of challenge, you're like,
just a little thing gets under her skin and just like, oh yeah?
Let's have a bake-off.
Oh yeah, Kreitlow's daughter. I will beat you with this cookie pan. Mine are so much better.
Everybody wins, because think of all the cookies that people get to eat in this contest.
I'm
here in the walk shop, I'm not getting cookies.
We'll find a way. We'll get you all here in Madison one of these days, where again you can come into this very sparse room and
With an
get to
oven.
meet one another. Yeah, have it out that way. All right, more with Kristen Lyerly and Greg Bach and Kristen's guests all coming up here in our next hour as part of our Women Win Wisconsin segment. We'll get Brittany Merlot with her forecast heading into the weekend, and Luke Mathers will wonder why I'm currently occupying his office. That's all coming up right after this little pause for news here up north.
Yeah.
Shaw, home of Les Paul, our awesome farmers market, and the Shaw, 540 AM. And
all righty. There. How are you?
Good. I was listening to your bit with Joe Zepecki, and I was getting all fired up.
Oh, yeah? Good.
Yeah. That whole little bit with the Republicans up in northeastern Wisconsin being upset with Mike Gallagher and the college Republicans calling to primary him.
Yes.
Things are in disarray up here. I've been having some very interesting conversations with people who used to identify as Republicans. So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yes, that's all good. Yes, sir. You get back in time? No, but that's okay. No, it was only 20 seconds of music. It was no big deal. So not a problem. That was fun. Okay, sorry. That was Sam. I was on the John and Gordy show and didn't make it back in time to toss the commercial when the Zepecki interview was done.
I heard that.
That's okay.
It was fine. You made it back.
I did. I'm here. I'm still here.
Yeah. Why are you in Madison today?
We are having a retreat for Courier Newsroom. Two of my managers are flying in, and then Sharita, Selena, and Christina. We're all gathering this afternoon, going out to dinner tonight.
Sharita
Selena, Booker. Yep. And
Christina.
And
But it's going to be Patina.
Patina.
You need a na at the end of your name.
I do not. I beg to differ. So.
Quite Lona.
Oh yeah. So do you take off today then?
Yeah, I was looking at the weather. I need to take off probably pretty close to noon because it's going to be freezing rain and slippery, I think, as I get up there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. I hope that goes well. And then 2 weeks away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
It's hard to remember that it's still winter. It's been so nice. I went for a bike ride yesterday and the birds. I mean,
I know. I heard the birds singing here this morning. It was really kind of strange.
They think it's spring.
Yes, I know. And I'm, again, with each day, I'm like, okay, maybe we'll avoid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, we're going to get, a big snow again. I'm sure of that. But if we can avoid, the huge deep freeze, that would be just epic.
Hibbing is going to be super cold in a week. Like highs, well, not super cold, highs in the teens.
Yeah. Did I forget if you were already here earlier this week when I mentioned that 10 years ago we were getting set to move to Cayman, and it was the snowiest winter ever that winter.
Uh-huh.
And so I always keep that in mind. I don't miss it. I don't mind taking a year off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also not the one, doing winter tourism. So
I kind of feel like you just get what you get. Like we have no control over the actual weather. So all you can do is roll with it. It's like the gender of your baby. Like when my patients find out what the gender of their baby is, it's like, well, that's what you got.
What are your thoughts on gender reveals, by the way?
Yeah. I personally, that was never anything that I did, but some people love it.
I'm not a fan, and so many weird things have happened. Like fires have started. I think I think it's kind of right up there with prom for me. It's like prom now is just such a thing. It's like, no, it's a high school dance,
and they do like promposals. Do you know about this?
Yes.
Yeah, not my kids. My kids are more like, I don't know, maybe I'll go, and they don't.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So yeah, we'll try not to use up all of the 8th district stuff, but we're going to talk about the border and stuff off the top here as well. All right. I will be right back.
Okay.
Professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Civic Media network of radio stations across Wisconsin. It's your hometown radio. Refreshed.
For Civic Media News, I'm Nate Wuggyhout. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. The universities of Wisconsin have a new website listing all online courses across the system's 13 campuses. The website lists more than 200 online programs and links to the campuses that offer the classes. The UW system is facing an $18 million deficit by this summer after years of declining enrollment and lower state aid. 4 two-year branch campuses are closing. President Biden and Donald Trump are dead even in the latest Marquette Law School poll. Trump's up slightly when you add in third-party candidates who took a sizable chunk of the votes.
I think it reflects the broad dissatisfaction with both Trump and Biden as the matchup. And so people unhappy with that are expressing it by saying at this point they'd vote third party.
Pollster Charles Franklin spoke with the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wednesday. I'm Nate Wuggyhout, Civic Media News.
Wisconsin loses at Michigan. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball, the Wisconsin Badgers losing 72-68 to a struggling Michigan Wolverine program. They were able to snap a 5-game losing streak. The Badgers head to Rutgers Saturday. Number 7th ranked Marquette getting ready to host St. John's on Saturday. The Golden Eagles have now won 6 in a row. Baseball. The Brewers adding players after trading pitcher Corbin Burns to the Orioles. They've signed Jacob Junis from the Giants to a 1-year deal, and they've also added catcher Gary Sanchez from the Padres to a 1-year contract worth $7 million. NFL, the 49ers holding practice, but they don't like the field they're on at UNLV as they get ready for the Super Bowl. It's AstroTurf laid down over a natural grass field. Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to change our whole schedule up.
Are you satisfied with that choice?
We're here. We're practicing on it. I mean, everyone has their preferences and wish things were better, but we'll deal with the field how it is.
That's 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Cloudy and mild with scattered light rain possible today. We'll get to around 53 for a high this afternoon. The wind out of the south at 15 to 25, gusting to near 30. Tonight, scattered light rain. Otherwise, partly cloudy, 41. Tomorrow, sunny, 50. Saturday, sunny and cooler, high near 38. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 39.
Hey, everybody, it's Todd Alwald. Noon to 3 on Thursday. Our guest is Keegan Kelly from Crack.com. Obscure sitcoms right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All across Wisconsin from Civic Media, this is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Wissota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Brightlow.
Oh, it's not just me. It's Greg Bach in Waukesha. It's Kristen Lyerly in Green Bay. It's meteorologist Brittany Merlot in the Wausau area. And at the bottom of the screen, if you're watching on social media, it's Rob checking in from Tigerton saying it's 33, a colorful sunrise. I was up at Shawano Lake yesterday. There were people on the ice. They need to be careful. There is open spots. Rob, you're putting it very politely. People, knock it off. Be nice to the rescuers up there who'd have to come and save your tuchus. Ms. Merlot, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys doing?
I think we're all great. Temperature check. Everybody good?
Good.
Yep. Okay, great. Greg? Yeah. All right, good. We've got temperatures around here that tell you why there's open water. It's 42 on Lake Wissota, 40 in Hayward, 37 Park Falls, Wausau 36, Green Bay 41, La Crosse 45, Wisconsin Rapids 39, Oshkosh 40, Madison 41, Waukesha 39. Brittany, there's nothing there that says the ice is going to get any stronger.
Oh, no, not at all. And today, why not break some more records? It looks like Eau Claire, Amory, La Crosse, Richland Center, Wausau, Wisconsin Rapids will probably all break record highs today. And in fact, the entire state's climbing into the 50s. Some of us may even hit the mid 50s to upper 50s the further west you live, and southern too. You're going to see those chances for the warmer temperatures. So here's what's happening today. We've got that low pressure system. It's in Minnesota and it's surging in the warmth. It's going to come in the form of gusty winds. In fact, in Iowa right now, there's a wind advisory because they're going to be gusting up to 50 miles per hour at times. Now here for us, we're expecting gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour, but the closer you are to Lake Michigan with that open water, you can also feel those gusts really, really strong. So those winds are going to be surging in the warmth. We'll break some records here for us. Very, very mild today. Stay off the ice. Not going to be good in those conditions with strong winds pushing any ice sheets that are still out there. And of course, continuing to melt any ice that is still there. So we are going to see some spotty showers throughout the morning hours. We could see some pockets of sunshine in the afternoon. And if you see pockets of sunshine in the afternoon, then you have a chance for some stronger storms this evening. Yeah, we're going to hear some claps of thunder throughout the state. Now that'll really push in after 5 p.m. The only risk of severe weather is maybe some hail and some strong winds. Again, that's more targeted into the southern portions of the state where you're in a marginal risk today for severe weather. In February, Even northern Illinois could see a risk of some tornadoes too. So really some upside down weather. Winter is kind of coming to an end here right now, at least this week.
I think at some point we should all be concerned that we are being punked, and that somebody is going to walk in and say, "Oh, we fooled you. You were actually asleep for a time." It's April. It's April. We just we fooled you into thinking it was February all this time.
Right. No, it's so funny. I was looking back at 1991 because we're breaking a lot of records from that year. And it was but it was a really strong El Nino. So I wanted to see what happened later in the spring that year. And we saw some highs in the teens in March, but then by May, we saw highs in the 70s. So we'll see.
And as Greg pointed out, we not only get the weather forecast from Brittany Merlot, but also a little weather poetry, a dramatic interpretation now by Greg Bach of Brittany Merlot's weather poetry.
Here we go.
Spotty showers in the morning hours.
Did you mean for that to happen?
No, I said that.
Yes,
You said that. You said spotty showers in the morning hours.
See,
It's not the first time.
What I caught
you
was
say things like that all the time. You are more poetic than you know.
The warm air surging in from to Wisconsin today. So we get a surge of warm air.
I love this. This makes sense. When I was in grade school, I had a poem published in a book. I should go find that.
Was it about the weather?
I'm not sure. We got to go see.
By the way, Rob says his prediction now is April. He says April 2018 dump this year. In April 2018, did we get a bunch of snow?
We sure did. That was a pretty vicious one. Yes.
You mentioned 1991, Brittany, and we were talking about that yesterday on Jane's show. That was the year that we got the snowstorm in May.
That was the year. Okay.
Yep.
That's right. And it melted the next day. Was it the 70s?
Yeah. You don't know. You take each day, as Dr. Lyerly tells us. Each day is like a gift. You take them all and
and there you have spotty showers in the morning hours. So.
Perfect.
Thank you, Brittany. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
All right. So Kristen's going to be back at 7:30 with a couple of guests here that helped put on a bit of a public forum for not just for the 8th Congressional District, right? Talking about the legislative races in the area as well. And I feel like, you were going to be doing that anyway, just based on, current events. But the much more recent events of this border debacle in the House of Representatives, I think just adds that much more fuel and that much more enthusiasm to the people you're talking to in Northeast Wisconsin.
We're building a movement up here in Northeast Wisconsin. So here we are in Green Bay, the 3rd largest city in the state. And in our region, of the 23 seats that are going to be on the ballot in the fall, only 2 are currently held by Democrats. That does not reflect the people of this region and what we care about. And we know that. So this time around, recognizing that we've got new maps on the horizon, that there is potential that our representatives will again have to represent us, have to earn our votes. We're seeing people just come from everywhere, stepping up, wanting to represent, wanting to be part of the solution. That was the event that we held last week. And that is the momentum that we are all feeling right now. Pat, I couldn't be more excited about the next 9 months.
And the 2 folks that you were doing this event with, who are also considering a run for Congress, they will be your guests at 7:30.
They're going to join us. And I should also mention during that event, we highlighted folks who were running for school board, city council, county board. It was everybody in the region who wanted to be part of this positive movement for change, for good, for solving problems. Really exciting stuff happening up here.
So again, Alicia Saunders and Kelly Peterson joining us at the bottom of the hour. But in terms of talking about the border itself, and again, it was it's something we don't need the whole background again, but I'm leading into the frustration that Republicans are feeling with each other again over another matter. And we have previously played something from Texas Congressman Chip Roy, who has been upset with his party's lack of productivity. And now he's provided a little bit more fodder for the dysfunction of House Republicans. Let's listen to some of his most recent comments.
No, we're not going to just pass the buck and say that, any president could walk in and secure the border. I saw former President Trump make that allegation earlier today on one of his Social media post. All the president has to do is declare the border is closed and it's closed. Well, with all due respect, that didn't happen in 2017, 18, 19, and 20. There were millions of people who came into the United States during those 4 years. No,
And there's a clip as well of Donald Trump himself in 2018 saying the only way to close the border is for Congress to pass new laws about the border. So they know they're lying about this, and yet Gallagher and Van Orden and Fitzgerald and the rest continue to persist in thinking they're going to make this an issue. And yeah, people still are going to think the border is an issue, but they're also going to think these guys and their hypocrisy is an issue this year, Kristen.
This is their playbook. They just put a shiny thing out there. When real things are happening, when real problems need to be solved, they distract the public with a shiny thing that gets people all worried, that creates fear. And that is how they control us. But we're seeing through it now. The way that Donald Trump has deflected, has prevented us from solving this border problem that everybody recognizes as a problem, but he doesn't want it solved clearly. People are starting to understand that this is about Donald Trump. This isn't about America. I really think that over the next 9 months, Pat, people are going to recognize how dysfunctional the party is. And it is really going to not only tear up the Republican Party for good, like they are going to have to figure out how to reorganize so that they can actually be, we need a functional conservative party. We need to be able to have conversations and compromise and solve problems. We've got to get back to that. And I think that we've just hit that inflection point where it just can't get any worse.
Well, and it's built on the shiny object is usually, denigrating immigrants and, scaring people in a not even slightly racist way. And fortunately, there are people that are bringing this back to economics. And we've talked before about how the Wisconsin economy, the farm economy, would collapse without migrant labor. And yet there is, there's a new report out about, because of the unexpected surge in immigration here in the U.S., that over the next 10 years, the economy will actually be $7 trillion larger because federal revenue will be $1 trillion bigger. And your reminder that undocumented immigrants, they still pay payroll taxes. They get taken out $12 billion in taxes every year that will come to you and me, but not to them because they don't qualify for benefits. So there's immense economic benefits to fixing immigration, and they just don't want to.
They don't want to because they love that issue because it scares people. But those of us who really understand the problem, those of us who really truly want to solve this problem, will continue to focus on it and continue to work on it. Pat, I mean, you've been in the Senate. You understand how this works. The more we can get out and talk to people, the more we can have these difficult conversations, the more we can read below the headlines, the better off we're all going to be. And so I'm so grateful to you for bringing these issues up, and to all of our listeners for listening and engaging and sending us questions and sharing your comments, because these are those important conversations that we just absolutely have to have.
Yeah, Mary's watching on YouTube and she comments, Trump supporters continue to blame Biden, and it's getting very hard to have or continue conversations with them. Mm-hmm. There is that disconnect because, as we talked about with the Marquette poll results last hour, there are so many people who they just hear that right-wing echo chamber. So they become convinced of all of these things that aren't true. It makes the conversations difficult, but for far too long, people just kind of walked away and said, well, there's no talking to these folks. And that's why you had nothing but right-wing radio for years and years and years. And it's something that we're getting fixed. And thankfully, folks like you and others are stepping up from a community level. So we'll talk more about that and some more of the day's news as well. And then, of course, our Women in Wisconsin segment. And then allegedly, Luke Mathers will come back in here, and we're gonna arm wrestle to see who gets to sit at this desk once again. Wherever you're listening across Wisconsin on this Thursday morning, when you're here, you're up north, live on the Civic Media Radio Network.
For Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
It's 2024. Welcome to Matt Nair on Air, coming to you live across the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Jane Matt Nair.
And I'm Greg Bach.
Join us Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon as we break down the news and share some laughs along the way.
We're talking to politicians, we're talking to community leaders, and we're talking to anyone who has a story.
And we occasionally get a visit from an umbrella cockatoo. Join us for Matt Nair on Air Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon.
Earl Ingram.
My special guest is the curator and founder of Wisconsin's Black Historical Society, none other than Claiborne Benson.
I want people to know that Wisconsin has a beautiful, rich African-American history. Many people think the King's celebration and all of those other kinds of things are more important. They occurred in Wisconsin as well, and we've impacted the entire nation.
The Earl Ingram Show, weekday mornings 8 to 10 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
We're just having some fun with John Williams on his 94th birthday. Just playing some of these amazing tunes that he created for the movies.
As Greg flies
Greg
around
Bach
the studio.
flies like Superman across the studios of WAUK, the Shaw. Please look out, look out.
Hey, have you ever gone to one of those movies where they show the movie on the screen and the orchestra plays the soundtrack while the movie is?
I would
It's
love
so
that.
great.
I would love to, but the movies that like they always do the Harry Potter ones, I would just be weeping the entire time because the music's so beautiful.
Aww.
Another John Williams, the Harry Potter theme.
He's done all of those things. And to be surrounded by the music, it's really different. Like to hear it on the radio is one thing, but to be surrounded by that orchestral music, to see the orchestra playing is really cool.
Yeah,
it would
I
be.
can
I would like that very much. Hey, we've been talking or writing in our daily newsletter over at UpNorthNewsWI.com about how Top Chef is their new season 21, which will be premiering next month, is based in Wisconsin. They spent last summer filming places like Milwaukee and Madison and elsewhere. Well, it was just yesterday that they released the names of the chef testants, I believe is what they call the contestants.
That's a horrible word.
I hate that.
I didn't make it up. It's not me. Not me. Anyway, Dan Jacobs, chef and co-owner of Milwaukee's Dan, is among the 15 who will be competing in the new season. You're familiar with Dan?
I love Dan.
Wow. Okay.
Tell us
it's one of the best restaurants in Milwaukee. Their food is so delicious. I want it right now.
Wow. Well, good deal. Well, then folks who follow this radio program and the issues that we cover, you'll like knowing that right after that announcement was made, our friend Sean Fettiplace from Main Street Alliance reminded us with a film clip that Chef Dan was speaking before the Joint Finance Committee hearing in Waukesha, calling for Badger Care expansion, paid family medical leave, and investments in child care counts, because he, like so many other restaurant owners, know that the key to the labor shortage out there is a level playing field. The key to small business success out there is a level playing field when it comes to healthcare and other factors that our elected officials could control if they chose to listen to their people, their small business owners, and their workers.
Without that kind of coverage by the state, what they did at Dan was on top of your bill, especially after the pandemic, they instituted a surcharge, and that surcharge, all those fees went directly to the employees to cover medical care, anything they needed, a little extra to go the way for the employees. So yeah, they have a really big heart for that aspect of the industry.
And so now we definitely have somebody to cheer for in Top Chef when it's on next. I'm not so much a Top Chef person as I am. You ever see Nailed It?
No.
Which is kind of the opposite of Top Chef, where people try to make one of these beautiful creations, and it just turns out horrifically wrong, and so they just sarcastically say, "Nailed it." And not so much so. Another story to tell you about that was in the news. I first noticed it from Alexander Schur, the politics reporter at the Wisconsin State Journal, about Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu saying the state Senate may pass the Governor Evers' proposed maps and try to circumvent whatever might come out of the state Supreme Court. Now, they took Evers' maps and they tweaked them, shall we say, to protect some of the Republican incumbents, but they may try to pass either those or maybe the original Evers maps, because they figure even though they won't be as gerrymandered as things are now, it would be even worse if one of the state Supreme Court maps says that. And I wonder, Kristen, if the governor said something along the lines of, "I'll believe it when I see it."
Well, and the governor will sign his own maps. I believe he has said that. But we know that the assembly hates the maps, that the governor's map, and the assembly wants changes. Folks in the assembly are very upset about how certain reps have ended up in the same district and they're going to have to challenge each other or move. So I don't know that this is a viable solution. I think, again, they're panicking. They recognize that the writing is on the wall. They saw the experts who came in and criticized all of these maps and called the Republican map and the Will map extreme partisan gerrymandering. These are folks who worked on the maps with the Republicans back in 2010. These are not partisan people. These are true experts. So of course, the GOP folks are worried they're going to lose their majority. There's no question about it. And they should be worried, because fair maps are coming back to Wisconsin, folks.
Well, because it comes back to something we talked about yesterday with the border, and now you can say as well with what we just said about Badger Care and child care. If you'd work on the issues that matter to people, instead of just every moment we're spending talking about maps is a moment where regular folks at home are saying, "Why aren't they doing anything for us?"
Right? How many times have you had conversations with people where they're spending so much time, like federally, on impeaching all of these people? What does this even mean? All of this time where they could be solving the border crisis, helping us fix our dysfunctional healthcare system that's working for nobody, making sure that childcare is affordable. Like, there is no lack of problems that need to be solved, but there is a total lack of seriousness from our elected leaders when it comes to solving these problems. And we are on the cusp of changing that.
Well, and that's why you have as well, Wisconsin Watch just did a fact check on Congressman Derek Van Orden, who claimed that Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told immigration and border officials in 2021 in a memo that they should not deport undocumented immigrants convicted of a felony. And that's not what the memo said at all. It said, along with felony convictions, there may be other factors to consider when removing non-citizens from the U.S. But the fact that they are just so focused on demonizing immigrants to the point where they get fact-checked on these things, again, just illustrates a degree of obsession either with the issue or with staying in power. And I just don't see it sitting well with voters as we continue to go through the next 9 months. Now, again, we saw Ron Johnson squeak over the finish line by running, the most racist ads we had ever seen in Wisconsin. So who knows how much lower the bar is going to go this year. But right now, if you focus just on the issues, people are going to be saying, "What are you doing for me?"
I just am thinking of Derek Van Orden and two 4-letter words that start with F. And one is fear, which is what he enjoys doing. And then the other one is farm, which is what he should be passing, the farm bill. I know that's not what you were thinking when I said that about the 4-letter word that starts with F, but he's like, it's fear over farm. Derek Van Orden, do your job.
Do your job. That's exactly it. And by the way, there's still time for that. Not that we're here to help Derek Van Orden do his job, but they can't wait until October, a month before the election, to pass a farm bill, which is what they've currently got it scheduled as. They need to do it this spring, or it's not going to happen at all this year. There's still time for him and Tom Tiffany to have an Ebenezer Scrooge-like change of heart and embrace the work that migrant laborers are doing on Wisconsin farms. Will they do it? Coming up next, Kristen's Women Win Wisconsin segment. You're up north.
It's Fully Leaded Education Talk. Busted Pencils with Dr. Tim and Dr. Johnny. Weeknights at 7 on the Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM WAUK, and on the Civic Media app.
You are never far away from your favorite radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. And if you missed your
All right, I think we got Kelly here.
Hi, here I
Hey.
And here comes Alicia. There
Welcome,
we go.
friends.
Hi, good to see everybody.
You
as
too.
well.
We're streaming on Facebook, so don't swear.
Oh,
yeah. We're in a radio commercial break for 3 more minutes. But yeah, folks can see us up on Facebook. So thank you very much for being here.
yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So much to talk about. The timing is so good.
Mm-hmm. Are you both in Green Bay?
De Pere.
You're in De Pere, Alicia?
I'm out of Kimberly, but I'm currently visiting my college kid up in way up North Houghton.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Kimberly, Alicia, come on. I'm from Kakana.
5
so I have to say that.
5 championships in a row.
Kimberly and Kakana have this like beautiful historic rivalry. It's like the Packers and the Bears.
Oh yeah.
There we go. There. Now we got you set. So is the exact title Queen of Kakana? How are we supposed to put that in there? The pride of Kakana. Sure. All right. So Kristen, you know the drill.
Switch on my ghost shirt right now.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's our
No.
mascot, the Kakana Galloping Ghost.
No, you're all on the same team right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, not fair. I didn't pack my Kimberly stuff.
Okay, I'll do it.
Do you guys have any other events or anything coming up?
Not
And-
right now, not
okay.
yet.
And do you want people directed to that new blue pack page?
Yes.
Okay, I will have to find that.
None of us have websites.
Right.
But I think, do we all have Facebook pages at this point? I got lost in our conversation yesterday.
I'll have mine up today.
I have one.
I mean, I have my personal, but I haven't.
Yeah, don't send people there.
Mhm.
And here's a picture of my cat.
Yeah. I love this cat.
Although cat videos are kind of where it's at right now.
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. They're really cute. Yeah, Pat, this is a coordinated effort.
Mhm.
So the goal here is that the 3 of us are approaching this from different perspectives, but the new blue piece is focused on the seat itself. So however this
Right.
all shakes
Yep.
out.
Okay. I don't have the document here open in front of me. Can you drop that link in the chat here?
I sure can.
Thank you. And we've got 1 minute until we're back.
Ta-dum.
Thank you. Newbluepack.org. Well, that was
Is
easy
your
enough.
hand getting tired of holding that microphone?
It really is. Cannot believe I forgot a mic stand.
Pat, Kelly has been very involved in news. So she's a longtime producer.
Long time.
So the people who actually get things done there.
Oh,
Okay. All right, 30 seconds. Come on in. Come wave hi. Oh, wait, no, I got 5 seconds. You can't wave. Luke has entered his office here. Welcome back at 7:34. This would be, of course, Dr. Lyerly's choice for walk-up music on our Women Win Wisconsin segment, as we have every Thursday morning here. And this time the focus is partially on Dr. Lyerly and two other women in Northeast Wisconsin who are looking at the 8th Congressional District and other races therein as possibilities for women to step up and make some big changes in the year 2024, Kristen.
We are doing something really unique in northeastern Wisconsin. We've seen so much fear and division, and as a result, lack of progress and lack of problem solving, that we've decided to come together, to unify, to work together to solve common problems that everybody cares about. So this morning, I couldn't be more excited to introduce two colleagues who I've been working very closely with, Kelly Peterson and Alicia Saunders. The three of us have put our heads together, and we are dedicated to making sure that we have great representation in Congress from the 8th Congressional District. All three of us are looking at potentially running for this seat. So ladies, Kelly, Alicia, welcome to Women Win Wisconsin.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Nice to have you both here. Kelly, let's start with you. Just get a little background on what you do, what you've done, why you're thinking about some great new endeavor.
Right. So I've been a journalist for, 24, 25 years. So I'm a former journalist. I'm an educator, and I have a passion for taking this country in the right direction. Look, we are going in the wrong direction. Congress is going in the wrong direction. Look at the debacle that we just saw over the past 2 days in the Republican Party. We can do better. Wisconsin can do better. This is not a functioning Congress. We need to be better. And that's one of the reasons why I'm considering running. I want to see a change for the positive for this country and the state of Wisconsin and District 8.
And Alicia, how about you? Let's have a little background on you and what you're considering and why.
I'm a Navy veteran, a single mom of two, blue collar worker, middle class, working paycheck to paycheck like the majority of Americans. Honestly, women's reproductive rights are disappearing. LGBTQI plus rights are under attack. Our children's futures are disappearing. The promises our government made to the BIPOC community have never been kept. Our veterans are used as pawns on the daily basis. Our college students and graduates are drowning in debt. Our farmers are being forgotten, and our planet is dying. Honestly, we need people in Congress that understand that they work for the people and are there to work for the people instead of lining their pockets and moving forward into other positions in power.
Kristen, when you said that maybe a movement is getting started in Northeast Wisconsin, I think I see what you're talking about.
I know it's unusual because we are so used to seeing people step up as candidates saying, I want to hold this office. But we need something different. The world has changed and we need to really work together. And I know I've said together numerous times already this morning, but really that is what we have to see. And something really unique about these women is that they've not run for public office before. But Kelly, there was a spark that made you go, this is my role. This is something that I have to do. Tell us about that spark.
27 bills is what Gallagher and Congress passed last year. That's the fewest bills passed since the Great Depression. That's what sparked me, and our reproductive rights. And I think another spark, Kristen and Alicia, is how we're working together. We see both sides of the aisle always debating and always attacking. How about this? As Mike Gallagher even said, how about we work together? It was a quote from his website that he had up. How about we work together to get things done? How about we're not inactive? How about we become active in Congress? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that's so famous for Mike Gallagher to say something like that. But to not do it. We see this all the time. And Alicia, nowhere more do we see this talking out of two sides of his mouth than when it comes to veteran issues. And for you as a veteran who is affected on the ground, when Mike Gallagher, a veteran himself, says he's going to do something and then fails to follow through, you see that failure.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you go back to the PACT Act. He voted against it twice. And the only reason he voted for it was because his constituents called him on it. He should have voted on that like that. Number one, yes, no problem. He voted against the Veterans Service Recognition Act that would help non-citizen veterans. These are people that signed up as non-citizens committed to our United States Constitution. He should have been on board with any help for any veterans. But yet he continues to work party line and continues to go farther and farther to the right.
And give us a reminder of the PACT Act for those of us who are out there and aren't familiar with what that means.
The PACT Act has to do with toxic fume exposure. The biggest focus was burn pits, because in Iraq and Afghanistan, they would have these huge burn pits where they would burn anything and everything. And the fumes coming from those pits harmed our troops' lungs. And we've got veterans that are coming up with cancer and all kinds of different sinus issues because of the burn pits. Another part of the PACT Act is exposure to jet fuel. I was in the aviation field. I was exposed to jet fuel on a daily basis. And even today, I have sinus issues because of that. So
veterans are getting sick because of what was happening on base, and Mike Gallagher refused to support them and support their continuing health concerns.
Yes, and he wasn't the only Wisconsin Republican that voted no on these things, which, by the way, lets people go, oh, well, is this a case of spending? No, this was mainly, if I understand correctly, just to make sure that instead of forcing every veteran to prove that it was the burn pits that caused their malady, it put the burden of proof, it removed that burden of proof that it was more likely than not that you would rule in the veterans' favor so that they could get the health care that they need. This was a gimme from a legislative standpoint and took way too long for Congressman Gallagher and the others to come along on this.
Yeah, I just wanted to also mention that my husband's a veteran. He did 20 years in the United States Air Force. Very, very proud of him. And yeah, he refueled midair, and he's got some medical issues as well. So Gallagher's, I mean, that's Kristen, when you ask what sparked me, that's another issue that sparked me.
And an issue that has sparked all of us, and that is really important to call out, is reproductive rights. And nowhere does Mike Gallagher fail more tremendously than on reproductive rights. Kelly, tell us about Mike Gallagher's record on reproductive rights and your fears if he continues to serve as a congressman for Wisconsinites.
Well, look, treating women as baby factories is morally wrong. We all know that. And if we look at some of the track across the United States, travel bans, there have been proposed travel bans for Texas, Tennessee, Missouri, and Oklahoma. We can't have that happen in Wisconsin. We need to stand up for what we believe in, and that is for reproductive rights. This, Kristen and Alicia, we all know, is just such a huge concern for us. Such a huge concern. And it's something we need to stand up to. It's one of the main reasons, again, why I'm sitting here talking to you.
Alicia, this is a key reason for you as well. Give us a little perspective on what this means to you and why this is important.
To me, it seems like they're literally trying to relegate us back to property and tell us that we don't know how to feel and what to think with an issue on reproductive rights. Like they don't want us to be able to have rights over our own bodies. That like even Mike Gallagher said on the overturn of Dobbs, he said the power to make abortion law should have always rested with elected officials, not the Supreme Court. Today's decision correctly returns this authority to legislatures and gives the American people a direct say in the way abortion is governed in their state. This is a historic ruling that will undoubtedly protect millions of unborn lives.
Yeah, elected officials.
They have no space, no reason to make medical decisions for Wisconsin women, American women.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason for them to be in the doctor's office and making legislation telling us how our bodies need to be treated.
Exactly. And to be very clear, Mike Gallagher has voted for, he actually introduced the Life Begins at Conception Act, which is a total abortion ban. He also co-sponsored a 6-week abortion ban. He is all in on a national abortion ban. And it gets even deeper than that. He has voted against access to contraception. Mike Gallagher has voted against access to contraception. This is not just about abortion. This is about his religious zealotry invading our personal lives.
It's deeply concerning. Kristen, Alicia, I sometimes get speechless because it's just so concerning. And Kristen, so how many patients did you have when we saw when Roe fell?
How many patients did I have?
Yeah.
When, like, in a day?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So many. So many. Yeah. I mean, 20 or 30 patients a day who would be coming in looking for advice, looking for information so that they could make their own decisions. You can't make a decision in a vacuum, but you have to make a decision based on where you're at in your life and what kind of support you have.
Yeah.
Ladies, the work to overturn or to have some change in the 8th Congressional District is not just being done at the individual level, as you and others may consider running in the race, but from the standpoint of just the district in general. And there is actually a political action committee that is more district focused than on any one candidate, Kristen, right?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, this is a unified effort. And one of our dear teammates, Julie Hancock, who I'm sure we're going to have on in a couple weeks, Julie was a write-in candidate against Mike Gallagher in the last cycle. Julie has put together, she's an attorney, and she's put together a PAC dedicated to electing a Democrat in November. So whoever ends up being the Democratic candidate for the general election, that's what this PAC will support. And that's what Pat is sharing here. newbluepac.org is the URL for the website. I encourage you to go to it, check it out. There are links there, importantly, to Mike Gallagher's record. And, we don't need to bash Mike Gallagher personally, and we wouldn't do that. But Mike Gallagher's record is it's incriminating. It's ridiculous. It's terrible. He's been walking a very fine line for a long time, and we're starting to see that crumble now with some of the recent news. And Kelly, I'm sure you have been watching the news very closely. What's your take on some of the things that have been happening recently with Representative Gallagher?
It's a mess. It's a mess, and it's an embarrassment. I wish if we could keep going. If we could just keep going, it's a mess. Sometimes I just get baffled, but yeah, there's more we can do, and there's more we can do together and move Wisconsin forward.
And again, to learn more about that, the PAC is called NEW, N-E-W for Northeast Wisconsin, newbluepac.org, and that's where you'll learn more about the issues, more about the district. But then, of course, from these women, I am sure we will be hearing more from Kelly Peterson from De Pere, Alicia Saunders from Kimberly, and of course, Kristen Lyerly, the pride of Kaukauna, all joining us here. And not a bit of rivalry among these three whatsoever in Northeast Wisconsin. A formidable team, and really, I'm so thankful, Kelly and Alicia, that you could join us for this today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. When we come back, we will be back here at the Civic Media headquarters at the top of State Street, right off Capitol Square, where I'm sitting where Todd Alba and Luke Mathers brainstorm all of the fine programming that comes across these airwaves, or they just throw spitballs at each other based on the mess that I'm seeing here. One way or another, we'll get to the bottom of it coming up in just a bit. You're Up North.
I work my 9 to 5, gotta cut my check. This goes up to all the women business is. You better not play me. Oh, come here, baby. Hope you still like me if you pay me.
All right, there we go.
Is the Shaw.
So I had a promo I was going to read there, and then I just kind of
eBay
blanked out
Motors
on
is
it.
here for the ride. Go
Let's
ahead.
see if we can get
Admire that
Mr.
perfectly
Mathers
installed
in here.
exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million
Can you
parts
hear me?
to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit
I can't
every
hear
time.
me, though.
Plus, at these prices,
can't hear you?
well,
No,
we're
I might
running
not be
rubber,
Oh, yeah,
not
because
cash.
you got
Keep
to.
your ride or die alive at
splitter?
ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Aw, this is so cute.
Zuri needs a new vet tech after their current one literally moved to a farm. But finding an ideal replacement takes some training.
This is like herding cats.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Schedule
Charlie
virtual
Kirk
interviews and talk to candidates
tweeted this
right from
morning,
your employer
The
dashboard.
good people of
Visit
northeastern Wisconsin are not happy with Rep. Gallagher and his no vote on the impeachment of
Here we
Mayorkas.
go.
And as he was typing that, you just see his gums getting bigger and bigger.
And his face getting smaller and smaller.
Now, sometimes we work very hard to make the bumper music work here and make it apropos to the guest. And sometimes the best laid plans go to waste, because I was all set for Luke Mathers to be sitting here right next to me playing the Imperial March from the Star Wars trilogy. And then I was going to completely blast Greg for making Luke Mathers look like a villain, like he was, part of Darth Vader. And the whole thing doesn't work, because as I turn to this empty chair here next to me, Kristen, there's no look. He was here. You saw him,
Pat
right?
just outed himself as a jerk.
Yes, or a master manipulator. He was, honest to God, he was here next to me a minute
Bum, bum,
ago.
bum,
Nope.
bum,
Oh my God.
ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. There he is.
Someone's got to mute their audio, because we're getting some echo.
Oh yeah,
There
Luke,
we go.
There you
Here,
go.
okay, we're gonna start it over. Okay, here we go. I got the music all set up for Luke.
Okay. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, here's Luke Mathers. Oh, look, Greg just outed himself as a jerk. So. Mr. Mathers, have we figured out your situation there? No,
maybe.
you have a bit of an echo. I don't know where you're getting it from, if there's a pair of headphones sitting nearby or something like that. But anyway, I see you somewhere here in the Civic Media headquarters.
The only echo could be coming from you, because I tried to sit up next to you. I did, but if I was successful at unplugging that, I didn't know you only had one audio jack report.
Oh, we're so sending this segment to the WBA.
I was just
the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association is going to.
And then I was short on time. I'm sorry.
We're good.
That's all right. I was showing folks before. Now I'm sitting at Todd Alba's desk, but they're over my shoulder. There's Luke Mathers' desk, and sitting over there is a banana that I can only best describe as dating back to the Bill Clinton administration.
It was
based on the way
how
the
do you
person
do
treated
that?
it.
I didn't get to. Jeez, I'm gonna come to your place where you normally work and
Pat, you listen to me right now. How dare you say a terrible thing about
You're
capable?
Hey, you don't know a thing
You're
about
the
bananas
guy
if
that
you
was
think
playing
that
the
bananas
Imperial
from the
March.
Clinton administration either, because that banana still has yellow on it. I'm as like I was born during the Bill
Watch it,
Clinton
Luke.
administration.
Oh, look,
and-
plant biologist
really
Luke
mean.
Mathers wants to talk to us now about how bananas grow.
You should really not pick on Luke's banana like that.
It'll never heal.
Luke,
I'm
thanks
gonna
for the
eat it as soon as we
hospitality
finish
here.
this segment, just to prove that it's still good.
It's nice to be here. How's everything around Civic Media World, apart from nice furniture?
We're having fun. We're doing
Having
great
fun and
things.
growing fast. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good time. Mr. Chad Holmes is on StreamYard now, so I was working with him and the Chad Holmes Show up in Bull Falls Radio, WXCO. So they're all set up now. We're very excited to be offering a visual component for our shows. So almost all of the Civic Media shows now also giving a component for streaming on social medias. Very excited about that. So you can follow your favorite shows on Facebook, X, or whatever you want to call the hellscape that is now that site that Elon Musk has just broken. YouTube, that one's still good. Things like that.
You can also check out the condition of any fresh produce that might be in the studio at the time.
Oh, let it go.
I can smell it from here.
I know you really can. It's
You know what? I'm on your side, Luke. You do what you want, America.
It was a snack that did not get to I didn't get to yesterday. I don't. I should have known. I needed to tidy up my whole space.
I'm just saying we're in a city here with ants and rats and, most importantly, sales department people who get hungry sometimes. They work, they work off commission, and as a result, they'll take your food right off the desk if they need to. So
Pat's oversharing a little bit from his time when he was in sales that he used to steal off of other people's desks just to feed
but
himself.
when I worked when I had two jobs to help get Sherry through med school, yes, I would. I was a waiter by night, and sometimes would help myself to some of the leftovers. But that's oversharing. That's oversharing for another time.
Plates.
Yeah, I mean, you just had to move the cigarette butts out of the way that they'd put out in the what remains of their burrito.
This is great trash spaghetti.
I figure. So we've got StreamYard up for Chad Holmes, so I'm looking forward to being on his show in just a few minutes from now and having that work out all right. Continue working on studio build-outs all across Wisconsin, eventually coming to Chippewa Falls so that I won't have to necessarily come down here and invade your space. But
I don't
there's
think
also
that would stop you one bit if you had a studio up there.
It wouldn't, but at least
criticize my desk.
But at least I could get in. For folks who missed it at the top of the show, I was locked out for the first 20 minutes by a key card system that has a special door wiggle that you need to know about in order to get into the building.
It's how we make sure that it's just an added layer of security. If you don't know, you don't know.
If you don't know, you don't know. You can have a key card, but if you don't know the special door wiggle.
Right. It's like knowing the secret handshake or the secret knock, Pat. You've never been in a club where, you needed a little extra layer of security?
I would never be in a club that would have me as a member.
This is just getting really mean, I feel. It's just...
All kidding aside, we do have something really fun as well going on this weekend. We've got, if you are listening in WRCO, Southeastern Wisconsin, you can tune in on the radio to the big game this weekend, the Super Bowl 58, between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Almost forgot who was playing for a second there.
Taylor Swift.
Those two teams facing off, the broadcast coverage starting on WRCO at 1 p.m. this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. Going to be very, very good time. So if you're in southwestern Wisconsin, tune in WRCO from Richland Center.
It makes you wonder, for all the fuss about TV commercials during the Super Bowl, if the people who make the radio commercials, if they feel like the bar's been raised a little higher, that they've got to make the best stuff. And by the way, I mean, radio commercials over history, I mean, what you can do with theater of the mind is amazing. And I feel like people are kind of missing out on that these days in the era of TV. But boy, a good radio commercial is tough to beat.
It's feeling a little vaudevillian right now.
I don't know about that one, Pat. I've seen some pretty cool commercials.
Anyway.
Hey, you know what? Greg and I are going to be back together again at 11 on Jane's show for public service announcement.
That's right. Part of Matt and Air on Air. So we've got that coming for your questions. And Kristen, you have safe travels otherwise. I hope you've enjoyed your homestand. But
it's been nice. I'll wave at Brittany as I drive through Wausau.
There you go. All right. Enjoy. Greg, thank you. I will see you tomorrow. You in Waukesha, me here in Madison. And Luke, I see that this door to your office locks. So good luck getting to your banana. The rest of you, thanks so much.
Just wiggle the handle.
Oh, this has a door wiggle too?
Just wiggle the handle to get to your banana. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this. We're going to do it tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. God willing, and a fair wind blowing. Have a great day.
Advocates.
Oh,
Weekday
you
afternoons
peoples.
from 4 until 6.
You peoples. I tell you. All right, you. enjoy. I can't believe. Oh wait, you got muted?
Yeah.
I was muting Greg's commercials and got you instead.
You're still live, Pat.
So many buttons.
I know. All right, I'm going to end the live stream, folks. See you later.